Well, a very good evening and many thanks indeed for joining us. My name is Omondi Tino and this is Kcvfc Primetime News. It is a Tuesday, the 23rd day of August, the year 2022. Tonight, we have a lot in store for you on matters happening in the country and of course beyond our borders. Just a day after the Azimio team and other petitioners filed their case at the apex court in the land, the Supreme Court, most of them seeking to challenge President-elect Dr. William Ruto's win. Just what we have for you tonight, but first, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight. The Supreme Court on another tough test in the determination of the sensitive 2022 election petition. Professor Kcvfc becomes Azimio coalition, joining William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza legal team. Doctors call for caution over reported cases of swine flu outbreak in Nakuru County. The Kenya Premier League faces a wave of strategic transfers ahead of the start of the season.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome to the broadcast. I'm not alone. I'm with the company of Moses Gitonga, who is our sign language interpreter tonight. And we're streaming live this broadcast on our social media platforms on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, on Twitter, KUTV_Kenya. It's also live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live. Tell me what you think about the bulletin on the comment section. Now, big test awaits the first Kenyan female Chief Justice Martha Koome and other 6 judges of the Supreme Court as they prepare to issue a ruling on the presidential election petition filed by Azimio la Umoja presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga. Any perceived misstep in the ruling by the 7-judge bench could damage the public faith in the judiciary and imperil the peaceful transfer of power in the country.
All eyes will be on the 7 Supreme Court judges as the hearing of the presidential petition challenging victory of Deputy President William Ruto as president-elect commends. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga filed an online petition to the country's top court challenging the results of August 9th election that handed victory to his rival William Ruto. Now it's race against time for the 7 judges to issue a ruling within 14 days from the time petition was filed. But as Kenyans wait for Supreme Court ruling, what are the likely outcome to expect? In the event the Apex Court of Kenya order an annulment, a new election must be held within 60 days, and if petitions are thrown out, the swearing-in will proceed on the first Tuesday after announcement of results. In a petition filed in Supreme Court, Odinga and his team want top court in the land to order fresh tallying and verification of election results and declare Raila Odinga and his running mate as president and deputy president-elect.
We are ready to serve you.
This is the 3rd time ODM party leader Raila Odinga is challenging the outcome of presidential election in the Supreme Court in 2013 and 2017 against outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta. Before then, Chief Justice David Maraga nullified 2017 presidential election and ordered fresh election. When Supreme Court under the leadership of retired Chief Justice David Maraga nullified 2017 election results, judges face a torrent of abuse. For Martha Koome and 6 other judges, stakes are high and the reputation for independence and fairness is on trial. Whether they'll be able to stand test of time, nobody can predict. Time will tell. Auma Evans for KUTV, Nairobi.
Away from that, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha today announced the closure of selected day schools to pave way for elections on Monday, August 29th. And these are schools within Mombasa and Kakamega counties, as well as 6 other areas within the pending elections. Learning in the institutions are to be interrupted just for a day.
Barely a week after learning resumed following a break due to elections, some schools are yet again to face the fate of elections as the postponed polls are now set to be conducted. Speaking on Tuesday while commissioning new CBC classrooms in Dagoretti, Professor Magoha announced that schools in the affected areas will be closed on Monday 29th of this month to resume on Tuesday 30th.
The IBC has pronounced itself with regard to the elections basically in Kakamega and Mombasa and some parliamentary ones and MCA ones. But the ones that concern us in education mostly are the big ones in Kakamega and Mombasa. We have agreed, having consulted Mr. Chebukati and Mr. Hussein Marjan. As far as the polling centers are concerned, we are happy to allow them to use our facilities in both primary and secondary schools.
Magoha further noted that tallying centers that may be required for more than one day to be transferred to tertiary institutions, at the same time underlining that boarding schools will not be closed.
But we have also agreed that the tallying centers which may require more than one day, we have agreed mutually that they should be taken to tertiary institutions, and the press release will be coming shortly to say so. In terms of our children, because we don't want them to miss any more time, we have also agreed as a government that the boarding schools shall not be closed, they will not be interfered with. Those that are polling centers, the children will remain in the boarding houses, in the fields and the libraries. As far as day schools are concerned, we think one day is not bad enough. The children can stay at home on Monday the 29th and report back to school on Tuesday.
IBC on Monday announced August 29th as the new date for the postponed polls.
The commission gave up. We owned the problem. The printers owned the problem, the mix-up. So I think that was explained. Then the second postponement again was occasioned by reasons, good reasons. So, but I know there's been misinformation in the media, a lot of propaganda around that postponement. But the commission made a decision for good reasons. Had we gone on with the election tomorrow, it would have been a sham election. An election without ballot papers, an election without KIMS kits, an election without personnel to run it. And so we said, let's organize ourselves. And we have had a discussion with the returning officers. The commission would like you to have this election as soon as possible.
Governorship elections in Mombasa and Kakamega counties are among the 8 elections that were postponed by the Electoral Commission. The other 6 are members of National Assembly polls in Kitui Rural, Kacheleba, Pokot South and Rongai constituencies, as well as member of County Assembly polls for Kwanjenga and Nyaki westwards. Elections were postponed following errors in the ballot papers. Joseph Oyomo, KUTV.
The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission IEBC returning officer in Gichugu constituency, Kirinyaga County, Geoffrey Gitobu, is dead. The officer is said to have collapsed on Monday and died. The brother to the deceased made a report at Nanyuki police station on Monday afternoon. He reported that Mr. Gitobu was driving within Nanyuki town when he felt dizzy and was rushed to Nanyuki Teaching and Referral Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. On August 16th, another IBC officer, Daniel Musyoka, was also found dead in Loitoktok. Mohamed Kanyari in Wajir County, the Wajir County presiding officer leg was also amputated after the Wajir election day shooting. The outgoing Makueni governor Kcvfc has ditched the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya camp, joining Ruto's led team ahead of a looming Supreme Court battle. The president-elect Dr. William Ruto, who is a respondent in the petition filed by the Azimio coalition, announced on Tuesday that the Professor Kcvfc will be part of the Kenya Kwanza legal team. Now, the move by Professor Kcvfc to join Kenya Kwanza team comes as a big surprise, as he was a key leader in the Azimio coalition, and 8 other petitioners filed their cases at the Supreme Court seeking to nullify William Ruto's victory and a fresh election conducted in accordance with the law and the Electoral Act. Residents of Nakuru County have been urged by the county government not to panic as the outbreak of swine flu in Elementaita ward has been contained. Nakuru County's Chief Officer of Public Health, Daniel Wainaina, said that adequate measures were put in place to mitigate the spread of the flu. He said that those affected were children below 1 year and admitted that the effects of the virus were mild and were no cause for alarm.
Outbreak of the swine flu virus has been reported in Elementaita ward in Nakuru County, where 8 children have been affected. The county government has, however, reassured residents that the virus has been contained and urged them not to panic. The Chief Officer of Public Health for Nakuru County, Dr. Daniel Wainaina, has confirmed that 8 children who are below 1 year are currently being treated, 2 of which have been admitted at Nakuru Level 5 Hospital, while 6 others are at Kiptangwing Health Center.
An outbreak of a flu in Elementaita ward, specifically in Kiptangwing Health Center. Basically what happened is that the in charge of the facility reported an upsurge in the number of children, especially those below 1 year, presenting with high fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing, whose number was more than what was expected for that time of the year.
Dr. Wainaina explained that the flu was first reported on 27th July this year at Kiptangwing Health Center in Elementaita ward after a large number of infants were found to have the flu symptoms, which include high fever, difficulty in breathing, and prolonged cough. He added that a team of experts were dispatched to the affected area.
I'm happy to report that as we speak now, the outbreak has been contained. We only have 8 admissions currently, 6 of them in the Kiptangwing Health Center and 2 in our main hospital who are stable. Basically, the symptoms of swine flu are just like any other common cold. In fact, it's a variant of the influenza virus.
This being the second time that the flu has hit Elementaita ward, with the first incident in February 2020, just before the first case of coronavirus was reported in Kenya. Zipora Warugoro, KUTV.
A provider of digital learning solutions has unveiled a coding and robotics center in Kakamega to provide alternative pathways for students to perform well in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics courses. The managing director of the institution, DCS School World of Learning, Wycliffe Kibisu, said the center is open to students, parents, teachers, researchers, schools that may need to add value to their learning experiences. He said that the robotics center will be used to deliver the mandatory skills required in the 21st century, which include critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, communication, and data analytics. The Coding and Robotics Center is also a big boost to the competency-based curriculum and the recent rollout of the coding curriculum in primary and secondary schools launched by the President Uhuru Kenyatta.
The launch of this robotics center is quite critical in the area of STEM and STEAM. By STEM, we are talking about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And by STEAM, we now introduce in the aspect of arts, that aesthetic value, which we add to the innovations that we are now going to come up with.
We are the only center given that right as far as jumpstart is concerned in Africa. So let them utilize this particular position and they ensure that every child that goes into their classroom does not graduate without the skill required in 21st century.
All right, and on my chronometer, 8:16 minutes past the top of the hour. It's time to take our first break here on KUTV Primetime News. In a moment, we shall be coming back with the discussion of the night. The Supreme Battle, discussing of the petition that was launched at the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court. What will be the implications and what are the possible outcomes? These outcomes, what does it mean for Kenyans moving forward? Stay with us. See you on the other side.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause? Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Giving a business an identity through the use of technology is our topic of today's episode.
I'll talk for Develop For Me. We take your problem personally. For example, if you have a marketing issue, we make sure that you make sales.
One of the services that we offer is the payment integration. We also have the apps and website business. And then is the corporate branding, where Nick is one of the best designers we have in the company. He uses a lot of tools to do it.
Ukiwa na dukuduku la michezo, tunafungua sanduku la dukuduku kwa ufahamu zaidi. Kila danadana, mitimko, mifiatuko na harakati zote ugani, sisi ni wako mwandani. Kukurukakara zote nyanjani, ziezi kuangaziwa zaidi ya micharazo michezoni. Mimi mwanaspoti wako matata Peter Pinches Mwaora, ndakuwa na jopo lenye maarifa sufufu, nikufahamishe na nikuburudishe wewe shabiki shakiki, kwa uhakiki na kindakindaki.
Vijana wanacheza hapa kwa wana participate kwetu na Mng'aro Mtaani. Level yao iko juu na ongeza kupata support in terms of equipment. Wanaweza endelea sana na hii program tumeanza ya mentorship through sports. Inaweza tusaidia sana tuweze kuwa na wachezaji wazuri. Wenyewe wote tuna witness hapa leo ni vijana wanaweza, na tuliamua kufanya tournament under 13 because tunaona tukianza hapo chini ndio vijana wengi wanapotea, na wakiza kuwa busy na kuwekewa platform ya kuweza kushowcase their talent, kwetu inakuwa ni very easier, na pia tunaona pia inasaidia nchi kwa jumla.
Unemployment has hit you hard. Your salary is meager. You decide to venture into business, but you're struggling to thrive in it. You would want to reap a big tip on how not to run into losses.
Forget the preachy business laws, the hyperbolic motivational speeches, and all the roads down desperation.
Hope has come with model stories from small successful entrepreneurs. We tell you these tales weekly on The Budding Entrepreneur. Join us as we help you make your trade profitable and often smile to the bank.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following our news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020 359 9054.
Hao vijana wanacheza hapa kwa wana participate kwetu na mngaro mtaani, level yao iko juu na wangeza kupata support in terms of equipments, wanaweza endelea sana, na hii program tumeanza ya mentorship through sports inaweza tusaidia sana tuweze kuwa na wachezaji wazuri. Wenyewe wote tuna witness hapa leo ni hao vijana wanaweza, na tuliamua kufanya tournament under 13 because tunaona tukianza hapo chini ndio vijana wengi wanapotea, na wakiza kuwa busy na kuwekewa platform ya kuweza kushowcase their talent, kwetu inakuwa ni very easier, na pia tunaona pia inasaidia nchi kwa jumla.
Kwanza tuende lunch. Chapo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza. Jinai weke story. Kata maji pia shada liko na sio nikosa mtupo si stress. Kama rende kisha basi nipe.
Big up, Zade, ukiwa Adliva, big up, Sis, big up, Shows, Mamba, big up, Oya, wase wote, okay, my principal, big up.
This is
watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us on KTV Primetime News. Time for our discussion, the Supreme Battle. Now, the highest court on the land yesterday witnessed a beehive of activities as EASE received 9 presidential election petitions. The petitions were submitted before 2 p.m. as required by the Constitution. Most of the petitions filed seeks to overturn President-elect William Ruto's victory, and with the lineup in the Apex Court, the judges will give their verdict on September 5th, 2022. So what are the possibilities of this outcome, and what will be their implications? Joining me for the discussion as we find the answers are Pigbin Odimwengu, who is a revolutionist and former presidential candidate, together with Jackton Onyango, a political analyst and forex trader. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us for this discussion. All right, now, Pigbin Odimwengu, probably let us just start with you. We understand that yesterday a number of petitions were filed at the Supreme Court. Of course, most of them seeking to challenge the victory that was given to the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto. So, of course, because you are also in the presidential race in the year 2022, what do you feel about these petitions? What importance do they have in the political landscape of the country?
Oh, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. I'll say that in regards to the petitions in court, especially in the Supreme Court, there have been so many petitions that have been filed against IBC in the process in between, before even the vetting process of presidential candidates, and even after the vetting process. But you see, the Constitution did not allow a petition to Supreme Court until election is done. But there have been so many petitions in court that have been challenging, including the conduct of Chebukati himself, IBC credibility, even remember including the ID requirement that was posed to us, that of course eliminated us technically. So I'll say that now that the Constitution requires that only presidential election petition should be, of course, considered at the Supreme Court. That's why many petitions came out to the Supreme Court since now election was done. But this doesn't mean that they haven't been having these petitions even in other lower courts before. That's what I can tell you.
All right. Now, Jackton, on your side, you are seeing the Azimio la Umoja camp, of course, heading to, of course, they are already in the highest court in the land, seeking justice, claiming that the win that was declared to the Deputy President-elect William Ruto should be nullified. What do you think of this petition?
Yeah, thank you again, Ken. It's really an honor to be here. I feel this is a great critical path as a country. This is a sensitive matter. As a country, we need to know that. On my end, I feel as if the petition will have a very crucial impact, in the sense that this democracy we are fighting for the next 10 years, the next 20 years from now, right now, we can be able to know, like, in case we have any challenge maybe or allegations with the election, you can file a petition, and yeah, it's a path for democracy. Yeah? So I feel as if this critical moment we are in right now is a crucial moment. The world is watching us. I can see Financial Times, so many news on Kenya right now, and it will play a lot even in terms of our economy. If we can see what's happening with our currency. It's weakening, from January till now. It has been weakening 5%. Yeah, so like I said, sensitive matter. We really need to be cautious with it. It reminds me of 2007. What happened? Yeah, claimed a lot of lives, 1,200 lives. So we really need to handle it very, very critically and maturely. Yeah.
All right. Yes. Oh, now, Pigbin, maybe just to get back to you, because you are in this presidential race, and it's unfortunate that you didn't make it to the ballot. But of these petitions that were filed at the Supreme Court, we understand that most of them, the respondents named in most of these petitions were IEBC. At some points, of course, we have the chairman of the electoral body of Wafula Chebukati also being sued at an individual capacity. So that raises the question, of course, on the electoral body. What is your perception of this electoral body? Was it fair in the whole process? Another thing is, what do you feel, I mean, just from the beginning, where they were doing the vetting of these presidential aspirants until they held the elections, what do you make of the whole process of the voting, which was overseen by the IBC?
Thank you once again. I'll tell you that I've never trusted Chebukati for a long period of time, and I support the petitions that want to hold Chebukati accountable. And a number of presidential aspirants did resort to even petition commissioners at an individual capacity, because you cannot misuse an office then expect that your office should protect you. We need to take individual responsibility. Last time when the election was nullified, the responsibility went to IBC Sabodi, but the Chebukati himself did not get personal accountability and responsibility. So the fact that now the petitions are directing to him as an individual is positive. It should make him feel that he's not protected by his office, but his deeds are actually must be accountable for. You see, I'll tell you, for example, when they brought this requirement that we must produce the photocopies of IDs. This has been in law, of course, in the 2012 Election Act, but has never been implemented. The question is, why did they not implement this 2013, 2017, and why did they introduce it in 2022? I'm telling you, I picked my ballot papers, the booklets for signature collection. We bought that requirement of IDs. 1.5 weeks, close to 2 weeks to the deadline, is when they said that we produce the copies of IDs. Why were we to get it? Of course, we had challenged this before in court, and Justice Mirima said that it was constitutional because it was in constitution. But on the grounds that another ruling by Justice Mirima nullified that requirement was based on the Data Protection Act. And we had complained this when we met as presidential aspirant meeting the returning officer. We told him that he should do away with the ID requirement. He went ahead and did that. In fact, after the court ruled that the requirement for IDs was unconstitutional, it meant that there was no constitutionally proven presidential candidate. Because how do you get candidates out of unconstitutional requirement? What they did, they moved to court to ask for a stay order that now allowed them to conduct an election. If there was no stay order, we could not have candidates now for this election. Apart from that, how comes that the test run that was done in their system proved that there was 59% error towards June? Tell me, 5 years you're running a system that is having 59% error, and it was 2 months to election. Out of that, you realize there was also another case of some other 800,000 voters who were transferred illegally. You remember that? And they said that they were going to resolve that. So personally, I felt that IBC was not prepared, and they had wasted our money for 5 years not to still be prepared for another election. And I personally ask citizens, I'll tell you, and I'm open to say this, I didn't vote because I felt that election is not a Christmas day that you wake up because it's a Christmas day and vote. Election goes along with the credibility of the process. It's not just a ritual or a circumcision that you're 18 years, you must go for it. But the credibility of the process must be assured first before you come out and cast your vote. Because you've been having your vote for 5 years, waiting for the opportune time. Then when that time is not opportune to you, and somebody feel like it's a ritual, you cannot just wake up and sanitize an illegal process that already prepared for. So I felt even from the beginning that IBC was not prepared. And we asked them and allowed them, okay, just go ahead and do your whatever, we'll come back for this. So I think it's the right time that Chebukati himself as an individual must be accountable for decisions there. Because I believe he's been conducting his decision at an individual capacity, not at a commissioner level of consultation. So you cannot hold a whole body of commissions accountable for somebody's responsibility.
All right. Oh, now, of course, maybe Jackson also seeing, he was in the race, of course, for presidency, and he gives a deep scrutiny of this whole process. But now, of course, with you at an individual level, I'm not sure whether you voted because Pigman has told us that he didn't vote, you know. Okay, this is interesting. So, of course, a number of issues have started rising from these 2022 general elections. You voted, meaning you had some trust and faith in this electoral process. What do you feel of this electoral process, these general elections? Was IBC really prepared for this process? Because the international observers, of course, drawn from the country and internationally, they lauded the process, saying that, the 2022 election was one of its kind, free, fair, and credible. What is your perception of this whole process, the 2022 elections?
Yeah, personally, I'm glad, I'm proud of what he did, not in terms of voting, but the courage he had as a youth. We were just there in the guest room. He was telling me he was one of the presidential aspirants. Right. So I was like, wow, he really wanted. So he explained the challenges he had. I think that's something courageous. For me personally, I voted because I believe if you want change, you have to go maybe and do your democratic right, which is voting. So in case maybe we have issues, we know we usually have procedures to solve the issues as a country.
Right.
So my responsibility as a Kenyan citizen is to vote. So I did that. We were waiting for the results like anybody else. So that's now, in case we have any challenge, that's up now to the quota. So like the next 14 days, as a country, are going to see the best lawyers in the country. They're going to tackle the petition. As we have the Azimio side, they're saying the allegations they're claiming. So on my end, I did my civil duty. So the guys who are involved in maybe the petition and the cases, let them do their job. Whatever outcome that will come out of that, we as a country need to accept it. We don't want to go back where we were before. Yes, so that's my individual perspective.
All right.
Yes.
Now, Pigman, we have this case in the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. But with these issues that have emanated from these elections, now, what is your feeling, rather, because I want you to represent now the electorates moving forward. Will they be having faith and trusting this electoral body to conduct, in as much as, yes, this could be the last election, of course it is the last election Chebukati is overseeing. When it comes to now faith of the electorates in casting, in participating in the democratic process, will it be same experience? Will they be approaching it positively as probably they should in every other election?
I will tell you, that's why I insisted on the credibility of the process. Or you cannot undergo a process that you don't get a result or certify you. Of course, I advise citizens that if you trust Chebukati, I was very clear, not if you trust the candidates, if you trust Chebukati, go cast your vote and accept the results. Because you trust him, accept the results. If you don't trust Chebukati, abstain from that election. Because you don't trust him. I think when you saw that the voter turnout was, of course, is inflated, as they're saying from their figures, but close to 50% of people not turning out to vote is a loud message. In fact, people feel that they didn't exercise their democratic right. They exercised their democratic right. They used the ballot and boycotted the ballot to send a message that they feel. That there was no opportune time they could send that message apart from the ballot. It's a message that we must go deep down and ask why.
Sure, because in this election we actually experienced a lot of voter apathy. Comparing it with the 2017 elections, the 2013 elections, you could see, you could go to the polling stations, you find long queues of voters really waiting to cast their ballots, but it was a bit different in the 2022 election. So could it be that this is the main reason why we are seeing a lot of apathy in this election?
One is that the body that governs the election. Do you really trust the body? If you don't trust the body, you abstain from that. Second thing, is very funny that you've been having candidates who have been campaigning for the last almost 5 years, but still could not convince people to come out and vote them. What does that mean? They're the same monkeys, and therefore you don't see any difference.
Right.
So why should you wake up in the morning, put somebody to a position where he will lie to you again? What has happened is that there has been betrayal out of the leadership that keep on lying to citizens over a period of time until citizens are sure that this is another lie. You see? And it is very critical that we need to reorganize ourselves and actually reactivate the faith of this individual to the process. That's what we need to be concerned with. How do you actually sanitize the electoral body to ensure that people can turn out and vote? And how do you also groom our leadership? Because we have leaders who are almost perennial liars, and therefore, despite of their popularity, I'll tell you, Raila and Ruto were the most popular candidate in this country than ever in any election.
Right.
But still, people could not come out and vote them. Was the problem, you see. Apart from, of course, the daily challenges, and I think IBC need also to move forward. Is it right time we think of digital voting? Because even you check in the registration of voters, you realize that youth only register 38% of them. 38% of them registered voters, and those are the youth, who are 65 to 75% in this country.
Yes.
I'm sure out of 38 who registered, only 20% may be voted. Why? You see, we were over 10 of us trying to be presidential aspirants as youth. None of us succeeded, you see. So there has been now only around 17 youth who have been elected out of the total majority. So you feel that if this process cannot actually resonate with you, you don't have a need to wake up and do that. So we need to check that moving forward. How do we reignite the faith of the people? And that goes along with bringing citizens to be active citizens. It means you must now put this government accountable moving forward. You should not leave them for another 5 years.
Right.
After 100 days, let's go check the manifesto. Have they implemented whatever they want? And I know the opposition is almost becoming weak daily, and that's a challenge we are facing. That you buy opposition for handshake, you sleep together with opposition. So we, the citizens, must come out actually to hold our country and leadership accountable so that we can bring back the faith. That's, I think, what's necessary.
All right. That's interesting. Big Bean. Now, Jackson, the case is in the highest court in the land. And there are a number of possibilities, of course, on the verdict that we could get from this apex court. I mean, from the thematic expressions that these petitions has been filed on, because a number of issues, of course, have been raised. One, we have the issue of quote in terms of the commissioners when they were declaring the presidential election, and a number of issues. We've of course seen the 50+1, some people arguing that no candidate met the threshold of the 50+1. So what do you feel is fair for the court to determine? Which ruling, which verdict do you think will be very fair for everyone and for the country, of course, moving forward with the number of issues that have emanated in this election? What will be the fairest thing for the court to rule in this petition?
Like I said, thanks, Ken. So I was reading the newspaper. Like I said, all eyes are on us. Like right now, most global nations are looking at us. These are big competitors. We had William Ruto, who gained like 6 million votes. We also have Raila Odinga, who got like 6 million votes too. So it's a tight race when you come to look at it even mathematically. So I will think the fairest decision. I mean, it's up to the apex cycle. It's up to them. Yes. Considering what we have gone through as a country, considering maybe the economic problems we have, this matter, of course, should be solved as fast as possible and fairest. Something that, in my opinion, I feel the decision should be very fair in a way that it will unify the whole nation,
Right.
Not something discriminative, not something one-sided. And I believe they have the tools required maybe to do that. These are guys who have done this before. So let's wait upon the
judges, of course, to give the verdict.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right. Of course, and you're really touching on the economic and the economic aspect of this country. Of course, you understand. Of course, you deal with the currencies, and you read the economy in and out. Of course, we'll get into that just in a minute. I want to give you a minute, Big Bean. Because you are in the race, and we have this matter in court, and a number of petitions have been filed. What do you feel is the most fairest thing to be done? Do we see probably the 2017, the decision that was made that nullified Uhuru Kenyatta's win, or should it be just sustained that Uhuru is the presidential elect, or we have fresh elections? And of course, this will also raise questions on the credibility of the body that will be conducting this process. What do you feel is the most fairest thing that the court, the highest court in the land, should give us a verdict?
If I was to be one of the judges, one, this process was unfair right from the vetting. So if the process has to be repeated, let's start from the vetting. How are we eliminated? Let's start again from there. If they can't do that ordering of a fresh start of the vetting, the best thing they need to check again is to ensure that each commissioner is accountable. Let them pass charges to each commissioner, including Chebukati. Out of that, if he's to be arrested for 10 years or 5 years, he should be.
Right.
Actually.
Okay.
The second thing is on the results. The third thing, on the results. One, they either nullify the results, and if they nullify results, it means that there's somebody guilty and they have found some evidence. Then if you found some evidence worth enough to nullify the results, how about those people who committed that offense?
Right.
If Chebukati is involved in that offense, he must be charged. If Ruto was involved in that offense because he's part of the petitioner, he must also be charged, not only be allowed to go for another rerun, he must be charged. You see? If the last thing, if they can order for recount as me is asking, let them do the recount before the court. Let them, as me, present the votes they feel it's not right, and let them defend. If they cannot defend, let those votes be removed so that you have the results from there and then you move on as a country. But I think that we should not, of course, also think of economy that much, because election is a very serious thing.
Absolutely.
So even beyond our economy or above our economy, the election is very serious. You see, so we need to ensure that we fix this thing once and for all. We should not rush. Let's have a clear decision that everybody can feel is fair for them. Because at the end of the day, now there are people who are feeling that they will never vote again. Their vote doesn't count. So let's have a unity and a decision that is perfect. But if it was to be me, let's start from the vetting. Because if it was wrong from the vetting, the court had pronounced and said that it was unconstitutional requirement for IDs. Then let's start from there. Let's not end to the tail. And I've asked them, even this country, I've been asking them most of the press briefing, that if you don't trust him, you can abstain from the election. Raila did that before. Why did he not abstain from this election if he didn't trust him? But now he's coming to cry. We were waiting for him to cry. So it's the right time so that we come together.
All right.
Yes.
Interesting. My director is telling me that we need to wind this up. And probably in winding up, Jackton, I would want you to, give us advice, because now from this economic aspect, in as much as, yes, all the attentions are on these elections, but we need to soldier on economically. But things are not moving because, politics moves everything in a way. What are the implications, of course, of this petition that we are having in the country? And what is the best way forward? What is the best strategy that, we can have as Kenyans so that, we are not dragged behind by politics in terms of economy?
Yeah, I think we just need to focus on the critical issues. Globally, we are in a mess. Also, as a country, we are all aware of what's happening globally. We have inflation all over. The US CPI data was out 8.5%. That's not something good, yeah. So we need to focus on the critical issues. Of course, the high dollar, when the dollar is strong, it kind of affects even the importers and the exporters of this country, making the high cost even of production to our local farmers, yeah. We have seen Kenya shilling decrease by 5.5% from January, if I'm not wrong, from January. So that should be an alarm call. We should be focusing on the critical areas. Yeah, of course, this is an election period, so we understand. Of course, we had the COVID period, also the Russian-Ukraine thing kind of affected us. Sure. So we have a lot, like I said, globally, locally. So we need to focus on things that will help us as a country economically before we run into a mess or a recession rather, yeah.
Right.
So key sectors, the guys who are involved, make sure you do what you're supposed to do and all that. You've seen the dollar Kenya shillings currently trading at, is it 119?
119, yes.
Yeah, that's very high, yeah. So we have like companies like Trading Economics which are forecasting, we might even retest levels as 121. Of course, when our Kenya shilling or our local currency is decreasing in value. It's not something good. It's not something we should be proud of. So like I said, we're in a mess as a country. We're also in a mess globally. So the leaders who are involved in our institution need to focus on increasing more outputs, yeah?
Right.
Yes, exactly.
All
I
right.
think with that, we'll be good to go, yeah?
All right.
Yes, yes.
Penguin, I'll just give you a minute to wind up because you command a followership of revolutionaries who would want to have this country at the best place. What message do you have for the electorates and the citizens as large, even as this court is in the apex court?
My last message will be simple. Raila Odinga has been claimed to be the system project. I'll call him system. William Ruto is a system orphan. They are all system. Let them mess their life. They have messed our life and we cannot continue fighting for them because they have already messed our life. So what I'll tell the citizens, stay calm, move on with their life, struggle, leave them fight their own fight. After all, they are all political cousins and they have caused us to be in this mess now. So stop and forget about them. Whether Ruto or Raila will win, forget about those people. Let's focus on our life and let's come up with a new system that can help us. So let's be peaceful, let's coexist, let's love each other, let's go on with the businesses. But one thing we must remind them, we will not allow them to mess our life after even this ruling.
All right, and that's it from the Supreme Battle discussion, having my guest Jackton and Big Bin, one of the presidential contestants, of course, in this 2022 election, in as much as, yes, he wasn't in the ballot, but he's still in the race, moving, of course, to have the right thing done in the country, having the best wishes, of course, for us as a nation. With that, let us take a break. We shall be coming back with sports news.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following our news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020-359-9054.
Hao vijana wanacheza hapa kwa wana participate kwetu na mngaro mtaani, level yao iko juu na wangeza kupata support in terms of equipments, wanaweza endelea sana. Na hii program tumeanza ya mentorship through sports inaweza tusaidia sana tuweze kuwa na wachezaji wazuri. Wenyewe wote tuna witness hapa leo ni hao vijana wanaweza, na tuliamua kufanya nini tournament under 13 because tunaona tukianza hapo chini ndio vijana wengi wanapotea, na wakianza kuwa busy na kuwekewa platform ya kuweza kushowcase their talent, kwetu inakuwa ni very easier, na pia tunaona pia inasaidia nchi kwa jumla.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's carry on with the bulletin. Now, Tiba Dam in Kirinyaga is finally fully operational, spelling relief to the residents and the reliance of the Tiba. The project, which was completed in good time and underway budget, is expected to brighten the lives of the residents, rice farmers, by allowing 2 planting seasons and a year-round supply of water for domestic use. The country at large is also set to benefit from the increased rice production, which would reduce the dependence on the expensive imports of this staple commodity.
Clean and fresh air is slowly becoming a luxury more than a necessity, given the high rates of air pollution by hazardous practices that are slowly destroying the environment. Indoor pollution, which is mostly not given attention as outdoor pollution, has caused deaths among children, and if not addressed, the number could rise. University students in Kenya have developed an indoor air purifier and monitor. They are hoping that their low-cost invention will allow more families to breathe clean air at home. A cheap solution to what is at times an invisible problem, Clean Air is a smart air purifier made of bamboo. It was developed by Kenyan students from the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology. These students, David, Caro, Tony and Kenaz, want to bring the product to market.
We began back in 2019, but then we incorporated our company officially in 2020. So the main purpose that made us began this idea of clean air. First, as Kenyan youths, we were looking for opportunities so that we can put ourselves out there and be successful in life.
The innovation was birthed out of necessity when one of the innovators behind it, Kenazo Otieno, realized that he was allergic to strong-smelling fragrances and smells caused by things ranging from smoke to perfumes.
Indoor air actually is enclosed, and a lot of products that we use inside our houses, the detergents, furnitures, all contribute to indoor air quality. So, and the other reason is that from personal experiences, personally, I'm allergic to dust, I'm allergic to various scents.
The filter can be used at home, in cars and in offices. It also monitors indoor air quality. Measurements appear on the user's smartphone. Clean Air simplifies the monitoring of air quality.
Our target market are basically people who are living in the urban centers. Of course, the urban centers are more polluted than the rural areas. But also, we are looking towards the rural areas because, in the rural areas where we use these unclean fuels, you see, like firewood in the homes actually. So it's also a product for them too.
The bamboo, which is the casing for the product, has perforations on it, letting air and gases in it for the sensor to give a reading on toxicity levels. With the mechanism in the device, the air is purified and let back into the room. A small screen indicates the levels of oxygen and other gases in the air.
Every sensor sends its data to the display, and the display actually can actually analyze the data in terms of what actually has been happening inside your house, inside the car, for the number of days actually that you've been recording that data.
Indoor air pollution is brought by dust, dirt or gases in the air inside buildings such as your home or workplace that could be harmful to breathe in. Poor indoor air quality has been linked to lung diseases like asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, and lung cancer. It has also been linked to increased risk of heart diseases and stroke, hence the need to improve indoor air quality within and around buildings and structures.
We are an impact-driven team, and what we care about much is the impact. So the reason why I'll tell someone actually I'd prefer a clean air purifier more than any other purifier outside there is because we are using first sustainable products, sustainable materials to make our products.
Poor indoor air quality has been linked to reduced productivity and impaired learning in schools. With Kenya striving to reduce its carbon footprint, innovations such as these are key in 1. Solving a big problem, 2. Creating employment, and 3. Reducing dependence on imports of such devices while encouraging the mantra Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. Samson Jura for KUTV, Nairobi.
Right, that was an impressive story done by our technology, science and innovation reporter Samson Jura about the clean air solution, which provides relief, of course, for the respiratory diseases which are on the rise. We shall be giving you the story on the Thiba Dam, which we unfortunately didn't roll, but we shall be giving you in the subsequent bulletins. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports, where Kenya Police FC's Clifton Miheso is on the verge of leaving the Kenya Premier League club. The 29-year-old forward, who emerged second in the top scorers chart in the Kenya Premier League with 15 goals, has stated that he has no plans to extend his stay at the Kenya Police. Well, Kcvfc of Ethiopia and Libya's Al Ittihad are among the clubs chasing after his signature. On the other end, Nairobi City Stars defender Kevin Okumu has joined Kcvfc and cutting ties with the City Stars. The marauding right back signed his contract on Monday and becomes KCB's sixth signing after Harun Mwale, Danson Chetambe, Francis Kahiro, Brian Omondi and Maurice Ojwang. And moving forward, Manchester United delivered a performance of intensity and spirit to beat Fire's rival Liverpool 2-1 on Monday and finally claim its first point in the Premier League in this season. The first goal was scored by Jadon Sancho in the 16th minute and the second by Marcus Rashford in the 53rd minute, which earned the victory for the team. This victory is expected to bring some respite for the manager Erik ten Hag, who made a huge statement in his team selection by dropping star striker Cristiano Ronaldo and club captain Harry Maguire, and was validated. Mohamed Salah scored the sole goal for Liverpool at the 81st minute, goal for consolidation, but it was another blow-par display for Liverpool against the backdrop of protest against the club's ownership.
Return to Alanga, big chance this for Sancho, 6 Milner down.